Hey everyone, and welcome to the Conversation Starter Podcast, part of the Connect the Dots campaign, connecting communities one conversation at a time. My name is Shirley Blanche, and I'm one half of the Conversation Starter Project, along with the lovely psychologist Dr. Tara Quinn. And through our volunteer-led CIC, we offer both free and paid community wellbeing services in West Sussex. And today we're really delighted to be joined by the wonderful Mark Andrew from Olive Tree Cancer Support Group, who's going to be chatting all about the amazing work they do in the community. Welcome to the Conversation Starter Podcast, Mark.
Good afternoon. How are you doing, ladies? You okay?
Yeah, all good, thanks. So just wanted to start off because I came across the Olive Tree Cancer Support Group when you first set up in Horsham, and I was approached by the person that was doing your job then, really long time ago, to come and run a mindfulness session at the centre, which was then based at Horsham Hospital. But I know that it had been at Crawley before then, so Horsham was set up after Crawley. So you've got a base in Crawley and Horsham as well, haven't you? And I was just blown away at the time that there was this service on the doorstep. I'd lost my own father to cancer a few years before, which is why I'm so sort of passionate advocate for the work that you guys do. And I was blown away that there was something on our doorstep that I hadn't heard about, that I didn't know about, and I wasn't aware of all the services that you offer. And so for people that have never heard of your organisation before, could you give us an overview of what you do and the two sites that you have, and maybe the different services that you offer at both?
Yeah, sure. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Shirley. Yeah, I mean, we have two hubs. We have one in Crawley, as you mentioned, which is next to Crawley Hospital. That's the original Olive Tree. That's been there for about 20 odd years now. And then Horsham, as you correctly said, was started about 3 or 4 years ago, was based in Horsham Hospital. Now we're in the Vineyard House behind Jewel Hall in Horsham. So we were set up by a lovely couple of ladies who, found their cancer journeys and basically didn't have anything to go to. So they set up the Olive Tree in the kitchen table area, shall we say, and over the years it's grown and grown and grown and provides holistic support to those suffering cancer, but also those that are looking after loved ones, caring or sharing the journey. So we're set up to provide. We're non-medical. We must make that clear. We don't have a medical expertise as such, but what we have done is set up this wonderful charity that offers services like counselling, hypnotherapy, acupuncture, and then a range of massages, from a basic massage through to Indian head massage, reflexology, Reiki. Plus, we have sort of some exercise classes with a yoga or Pilates option as well. And the key thing that we do for our members and carers is that all of this is free. We basically are set up to help in the communities, and we have no boundaries when it comes to our communities. So we basically say if you can get to one of us, then we'll help you out. We are looking at online services. We've recently started hypnotherapy online, and we're looking at the moment actually of putting one of our Reiki sessions online as well. So we're also looking at ways to develop how we can help those who maybe can't get out to us as easy as those that can. So yeah, that's kind of a short overview of what we do.
I think it's absolutely amazing. I love the fact that you're taking this really holistic approach, because I think when people are in that situation where they're going through treatment, it all feels very, very intense. And it's obviously a hugely stressful time. So being able to offer these holistic approaches also gives people the opportunity to feel that they're becoming a bit more empowered over their own health journey as well, doesn't it?
It is. It's important for us. The moment someone walks through our door, they're already on the cancer journey to a point, but they're starting their journey with us. So it's really important that we show that we're caring, we're empathetic, we understand, and that we're there for them and any loved one that's with them. So that first point of contact is really important when people come in and sort of on board with us, to engage with them and understand how they're feeling, how we can help, what kind of services they want to tap into, and then sort of start them on something with us that can really help their their journey, as we're talking about with cancer, which is, a really horrible disease in some ways. I mean, I recently lost my sister to
I'm
cancer, so
sorry.
and everyone's journey is so different, so different with
Mm.
this disease. So we're just trying to be there and help with everyone that we can.
And I've been lucky enough to go and run like a couple of mindfulness sessions, one at the Crawley Centre and at Horsham as well. And they're both really, I would say, they've got a lovely vibe, if you want to call it that, to them. They're just like a really positive space to be able to walk into, that's away from some of the more medicalised institutions that you might find yourself in. How important is that, do you think, to have these spaces that are separate from the sort of medical journey that people are going through?
They're so important, and the way that we set up our spaces is, and you touched on it, Shirley, about medical. A lot of our members spend times in hospitals a lot and everything. So we try and set up our spaces to give a bit more of a home feeling. So okay, we can't do anything with the corridors or anything, but once you walk into like our counselling room or community room, it's kind of set up like a front room, a living room situation. So it will help their mindset when they sit into these rooms for any sort of the services that they've got going. So it is important to give the right mindset, to show them that this isn't necessarily another appointment as such. It's there. It's just help for them, and just trying to help them the best way we can.
I think it's amazing. What I was blown away by actually when I first came across your service was the fact that you offered support to the people supporting people with cancer, and also for a certain period of time after people have lost somebody,
Yeah.
when you're going through that grief. For me personally, that was such a pivotal time in my life when I lost my father to cancer, and that changed the whole trajectory of my life. And I only do what I'm doing now with this project and in my own work teaching mindfulness and meditation because of that experience that I had. It was hugely profound, and I hadn't known about the olive tree then, and had I known about it, I may well have taken advantage of that. And I think that is an element which is so important in terms of community, but also in terms of supporting people with cancer. So what kind of, do you offer exactly the same kind of services for relatives, and do they differ if you've lost somebody or if you're going through it yourself? What's the different kind of pathways with your group?
So we don't offer different services to carers. They can have exactly the same as the members. So we give the members maybe a little bit more priority to services that are popular, obviously, but we generally try and share around quite a lot as we can, so everybody gets a good usage of the olive tree services that we provide. And it is so important to look after the carers, because they're going through this as well. A different pathway, as you say, but it's no less important to us. It's there. We do the carers because they have to have somewhere to sort of relax, unwind, tap into something that can help them as well. So to offer to the carers was just a no brainer for us as a charity, and it's something that we're quite proud of what we do.
I think it's amazing, and certainly, with our project as well, we do a lot of focus on supporting carers in the community, because, really, if you didn't have the carers, then the people who are experiencing the condition wouldn't have the care that they need. You've got to have the carers being looked after, otherwise they can't access the support. And I wonder, do you ever get sort of carers coming along where the actual person that they're caring from wouldn't necessarily use your services, but the carers access it, and that enables the carer to go on and offer that level of support?
We do, yeah. We do have just carers that come through our doors, and that's because a member may have tapped into somewhere else. There are other facilities out there with other charities, but no, they don't have to have their loved one that's suffering from cancer registered with us. We take on carers that need that help, and whether the member is with us or not. So yeah, no problem on that.
I think what's really amazing as well is the the community that you create. And so sort of, you know, part of the work that we do is obviously really being based in grassroots community, health empowerment. And I love the sense of community that you create at the Olive Tree, because, you know, I run meditation groups and things, people, and I do get people coming along with cancer and things like that. And I know that members of my groups have actually come and used your services before. And one of the things that they've really, really loved about it is that they can just go there and connect with people who are going through the same kind of thing. So how important is it that you're creating community within your services that you're offering?
I think it's very important. You know, as we said, from the first moment that they come through the doorway, it's providing an environment for them that they require to help them through their journey. Whether that's just tapping into one-to-one services, or going along to our workshops that we hold, or our drop-in hugging and mug sessions that we have. Somewhere where there is other people around that they can talk to. We have many sessions like that, and sometimes we don't necessarily sit there and talk about cancer. You know, we put the world to rights, shall we say, because they just want to come in and have a conversation and mingle with others, shall we say. So we do have a really good open door policy with that, and people come along for a chat, whether it's 10 minutes or they stay for a couple of hours in our sessions. So it's important to create an environment that they feel comfortable to come and sit in, a safe, secure area for them. And, you know, it's something that we continue to expand. We recently started a new men's breakfast group, and that's the first one
Wow.
that we've done. So we have that every first Wednesday of the month now. Off-site, again, we were looking at the environment. It's hard to get men to talk, shall we say? So we were looking at environments that men would come and talk and openly share with us, their stories as well. And so we planted the first seed a few weeks ago with our first ever men's breakfast, and that worked extremely well. Fantastic feedback, and we'll see if that grows for the community. But we're always looking at ways of community engagement. We don't want to be the best kept secret in Horsham. You know, we want people to tap into our services and use the community of internally of the Olive Tree as well, and speak to others that are going through journeys as well. It's very, very important.
I think that's definitely something that we've picked up on, isn't it, Tara? When we've dropped into the Olive Tree before, it kind of feels like people drop in and they just say, hi, oh, haven't seen you for ages. And I think having that support network of familiarity where people feel that they've got a space they can go to, that's something that we really feel with the walks as well, isn't it? That people kind of drop in and out as they're feeling well enough to be able to do it, but they know that they've always got a space that they can come, that's a safe space where they can share what they're going through, but also that they know they're always going to get that welcome, you know, just a cup of tea and a welcome.
It's really
and that's
organic,
the vibe I kind of get
it?
from the Olive Tree.
Organic, not kind of overly thought about. Doesn't feel like a waiting room, as you say. We've been a few times now, haven't we? And I think that's actually just as important as the more formal model as well.
Yeah, we're redoing our reception area in Horsham soon as well, just to again make it even more sort of non-reception like, shall we say, a softer approach, more gentle as you come through the door, and more homely, shall we say, is the word. So it's important for us that our members don't feel like they're in a building, an office block or a hospital, somewhere where they can relax and just unwind while they're going through something that's incredibly painful, or, you know, they need to be strong with these journeys. You know, they've got to find the energy to go through these journeys. So it's important that we offer something that enables them to come along with that energy and really help them on those journeys that we talk about.
And Tara, I think, you know, obviously from a psychology perspective, you must recognise the impact that going through something like this, kind of even just getting the diagnosis of cancer and the environment that we live in and all the sort of publicity that's pushed at us around certain conditions, and especially around cancer, is very, very frightening. So how would you say that services like the Olive Tree would be really helpful from a psychological perspective?
Do you know, I kind of see it as a multi-layered thing. So there's quite a big medical model, isn't there, around cancer? There's obviously, you know, the kind of NHS pathways. There's physical, quite invasive interventions, aren't there? But what I love about Olive Tree is it's also kind of addressing some of the bias around more of the holistic elements and the different models of care, but the really basic stuff, the layer underneath that, is that you are just coming somewhere where people already get this. You're not having to overly explain. And what we know about the human brain in terms of, there's only so much information we can process, and you take getting a cancer diagnosis and different stages of your cancer journey as well, where you're having to, weigh up information and make quite difficult choices. It can mean your capacity to take on other decisions can be really lowered. So coming somewhere, it sounds so ridiculously simple, but to me that's the stuff that strikes me, that you can come somewhere you haven't got to explain. You just literally, it feels like we've sat in there. I remember having really bad cold once and trying to get over that, and just sitting in your one of your treatment rooms and just going, this is amazing, because it just felt like being at home. And I think that's really, really important, that it's not more sterile environments where you do have that bias and that association with news and processing information. And that's what I really love.
And I remember those first meetings, and it was important for us to also, connect with local charities like yourselves as well, where, you can offer services that can help our members as well. And, we actively, support, the Conversation Starter Project from the meetings that we had. And every time, members talk to us about how they want to exercise or just get out and about, meet people, we're always recommending, your session, shall we say, because it's supporting the local communities as well. And you guys do a great job, and it helps our members as well. So it's great how the two charities also entwine and work together for the benefit of those with cancer as well.
And that we're both free as well, because that's an additional thing. So a lot of people with cancer, they're worried about finances, worried about managing, but also the kind of framework. So one of the reasons we have our collaboration is that we already have walk and talk set up. So there's some new research, isn't there, now about people going through chemotherapy and moving their bodies rather than being more kind of isolating at home and kind of resting and recovering. So it can probably feel quite daunting, I imagine, to go, well, how do I walk and who with? And the fact that we know that you do have different conversations with people you know very well, who may be more, heavily weighted towards what you're going through, whereas with our walk and talk sessions, it's more organic. So you said sometimes just having those everyday conversations is just as important as talking about what you're going through as well. Some people do need some respite from talking about their health condition, don't they?
They do, and that's why we don't put any pressure on sort of any of the drop-in sessions that we have. We let the conversations grow organically, as you're saying. It's we don't have a topic. It's nothing. We all get our cupboards, piece of cake, and everything, and then we just start talking, and it's an organic flow. And whether that's talking about cancer or whether that's talking about something that's happening in the world today, it's what they want to talk there about. So we let it flow organically, and there's no pressure from our side. And people just, as they say, they stay and they chat and they have a respite from what's going on around them outside of us.
Giving permission almost, that's the thing that kind of strikes me, is it giving permission to step outside of maybe expected, the kind of cognitive bias territory of I must be focused on it. We all have that kind of inbuilt fix it mode. So I imagine for a lot of people, when you've got a potentially life-changing diagnosis, whatever your health condition as well as cancer, is that it can be very fixed on how do I work on this, what's the next thing. And sometimes actually it's recognizing and pausing and being able to step outside of that is just as good for our health and well-being, isn't it? That it's okay. It's not avoidance. It's actually very good for your well-being to have breaks.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. You need to have those breaks, and we're trying to provide something for just as we talked about just a minute ago with Shirley, it can just be the carer that comes and registers with us. You don't have to be suffering with cancer. If you're in a journey, be it whether you have the cancer or not, we will help. And those carers, they definitely need the respite and the breakaway. And they link up with other carers here as well. So, there's lots of conversations that myself and the staff here of, just the members and the carers talking. So it is a really nice space, shall we say, to listen to and hear all those stories that have been going on.
So I have some questions, of course I do, things that I'm really interested in. So I want to kind of bring in that world of kind of evidence-based. You kind of describe yourself, it's more holistic interventions, and there may be people listening to this going, well, kind of there is this bias around medical model and cancer, isn't there? So what is it about, what's your kind of model of care? Why is it that you offer those more holistic services? What's the kind of thinking behind that for people that may be very new to your service?
Well, I think it will go back to when these lovely ladies started the Olive Tree. They themselves were looking for something that wasn't available as such in the community. So we have to sort of go back to our original roots and say where, how we come about the service that we do now, because the ladies that set up the olive tree tried to find somewhere for what they were looking for, couldn't. So,
Right.
whether that was some counselling, whether that was hypnotherapy, or, some kind of respite we were just talking about. So as the olive tree's grown and grown and grown, the foundations haven't changed. It's the ladies that sit around the coffee table that created the olive tree are still here in spirit with us, guiding us and telling us as such. We know that what they wanted to create, and we're now just creating it on a bigger platform now, and that obviously means that we have more and more services. But we listen to feedback as well from our members. If it's something that we don't provide, can we provide it? We have a new scar tissue session coming up soon, and that will start in June. And breast cancers, one of the leading cancers that we have, and we didn't have this certainly in the Horsham branch. So we do try best as we can to go out and get more volunteers in where we can increase our services as well. That happened with Pilates. A lot of people were doing our yoga, which is more chair based, so it was more upper body. So they wanted a bit more of a more strenuous exercise because their bodies could cope with it. So we listened, and we were able to go and find a fantastic Pilates teacher and start that for them. So it's we try and set up our services to make sure that we can provide something that our members want and something that will help them. That's the key thing. It's not about just coming through the door, sign up for something and taking part in something that's not really going to help them. So we do try and guide them. So when they on board with us, we're very key with them. How can we help? We go through their backstories. We go through how they're suffering. We recommend things. We ask them how we can help, and then we're trying and put everything together for them and mould them a nice little package that will really help them through the journeys at the moment.
And that's what I really love, because it's very bespoke, isn't it? So there may be some people kind of going, well, is it a kind of one size fits all? What's the evidence base? Why do yoga, particularly if you've had cancer, or what is it? It's looking at what do you need for your mind and body. But part of that is also, as Shirley said, it's the empowerment, isn't it? So where am I at with my journey? What do I need? What are the other evidence based things that may be good for mind, psychological health, which is we all know is good for healing, but also strengthening your body, strengthening your immune system. There's so many facets, aren't there? But I love the fact that it's really empowering, but also not too overwhelming, that you on board. So for people that may be listening to this and going, where do I start? Some people can feel very overwhelmed. They may be at a stage in their kind of medical treatment that, it's quite full on. What I really love then is telling people this is quite a gentle journey where you spend time getting to know them, helping them make decisions about what they need for their mind and body, because you offer so much. And I love the fact that you evolve as well. But yeah, it doesn't seem overwhelming because you've talked about many different interventions, yet it still doesn't seem too much.
We have to evolve because, as you were saying, cancer evolving, treatments are evolving, and from when this was started 20 years ago, it's vastly evolved. So the treatments, what's available to you, and we have members signing up now that are tapping into a new ways, new medicines, new treatments, and but also it's clear to say, we don't make any pressure. So people sometimes sign with us and then they go and have their treatments. So it's like they're just getting that done first. They'll go away, have their treatments because they just feel they want to do that. And then once they've had their treatment, then they'll come back in and have something. Whereas, and we have the other side. We have people that sign up before their treatment started and they continue with us through their treatment. So it is very different. Some people just sign up for the chat. We have many members that just come in for the drop-ins. They've openly saying we don't want to have a massage. We don't need it. Therefore, we don't want to take that away from people who do need it. But what we do want is the community to be able to come and talk. So you can come and register with us to be a member, and it could be from just coming in for a cuppa and have a chat all the way through to tapping into a lot of those services that we offer. So
I love the autonomy that's around that as well, because, and I'm going to kind of bring in the carer stroke relative element as well, is that, it's kind of maybe looking at that kind of stigma and shame over relatives, people that are supporting someone with their cancer journey, being okay at wanting to look after themselves, because sometimes you can feel very guilty, especially if you're seeing someone who's in active treatment, as you say, maybe in pain, having surgery, whatever. You can feel really guilty, but also that autonomy over when and how all of those people access it, and no pressure. Sometimes with the kind of medical treatment, there's less autonomy, isn't there? Or maybe you're on a specific time scale. So I think actually those things are really lovely, to go alongside each other. And again, if it's all right to bring to the kind of care element, because that's what I love as well. That's something I do in my other job, but also at the project, is there sometimes the people that get a bit forgotten because maybe they will minimise, but it's just part of it. This person's going through all of this cancer treatment, so me feeling the way I feel doesn't really compare. Is how do you do work with people? Because that's what I'm really interested in. How do you encourage people to kind of be okay with looking after themselves so they can also support the person who's on the journey?
Going back onto what we were just saying just a second ago, one of the key things that we have carers say to us is they feel like a fraud.
Yeah,
Because they're tapping into services yet they don't have the cancer.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult sometimes for them to switch off that mindset, And one thing that we try and do is, first and foremost, tell them straight out they're not a fraud. There is much in need of the help as much as those that are going through cancer. Because I think you touched on it earlier with Shirley touched on it. If the member doesn't have a carer, then who helps them? Their role is vital, So we do our utmost for the carers, and we don't like the word fraudulent. We tell them off in a nice way and explain to them that you're not, you're just as much priority for us to tap into the services as much as those that are with cancer. As I said, we do when we have our popular sessions. So we do have some the hypnotherapy, the counselling, and moreover, acupuncture at the moment is an extremely popular one. We do have waiting lists, so we do then have to sort of prioritise a little bit when it comes to cancer.
Of course.
But it doesn't mean that we forget. We don't forget those that have signed up. They're just carers. So we have a really good system in place where we can move people around and register. And one thing that we try and do is remember the people. So it's not just that you're a member. We try and remember everybody's name that comes through our door. So when they come through, it's hi Sue, hi Sam, hi whoever it is. So it's not like another appointment for them. So
they're not a number, are they? Because quite often you are an NHS number or a case number, which is understandable in some situations.
Yeah,
but just that
for us,
touch.
We try and keep it personal. We try and remember every. Sometimes we might need a little bit of a memory jog, but we've all had those days. But that's the key thing for us. It's come through our door. Hi, whoever the name is, they say not a number, etc. And then we just help them. We just want to guide them through the process, and the carers to us have a really important part to play in these cancer journeys for people. It's with they got to be strong sometimes. They've got to that mental well-being that you're talking about has to be sometimes 100%. So they do need to tap into some services to re-energize, refresh, and then leave here and go again and help out their loved ones. So they're so important to us.
It's extremely validating, isn't it? That's the thing that I'm going to take away from this, that you can't give from that empty cup. And, we love a preventative model, don't we, Shirley, in terms of that what you're providing is not just sometimes with some services you may get carers get a certain amount of sessions or, there's a limit. So they still feel a little bit like an adjunct. But actually with what you provide, I think you're actually quite unique because it's helping them do a lot more preventative stuff because it's not a quick journey. It's not a quick support. Often it can, go on for years, can't it? And I think that's really, really incredible.
And we're here for them throughout the journey.
Yeah.
When they're ready sort of to tell us that, they don't need us anymore, then that's fine. But we won't tell them. That's not what we're about. You can still have issues with cancer years down the line. We have the magic 5-year period, of course. So, you're at least with us normally for 5 years at least. Some go beyond that. We do have members that have gone beyond that because they're still suffering. They still want support, or they still want the community feeling and talking to people how their recovery period has gone and how they're feeling with things. So yeah, there's no limit to us. We're here to provide a service for the community, and that's what we aim to do, and do it as best as we can.
And one of the things that I did want to ask is, because something that sort of struck me when my own father passed away was that when you're the spouse, and my mother had to go through this, and you're looking after somebody, you actually it's a very busy time, and you have a lot of support coming through the medical support that person's getting. And so it's actually really busy, and a lot of the time your time is taken up with appointments and going here, there and everywhere. But you also get to know the medical staff and the sort of community that's surrounding that person's care. And when that person passes away, that is all stripped away from you. So not only have you lost the person, but you've also kind of lost the support structure that's built up in the medical area around that person as well. So if people are coming to your services and they're a carer and the person they're caring for has passed away, they can still access your services after that person's passed away, can't they? Because I think that is a really vulnerable time for carers.
Absolutely.
Isn't just when they're going through the stress of looking after somebody, but it's when all of that is being taken away from them. They're on their own, and also that support structure's gone as well.
You've hit the nail on the head there, Shirley, to be honest with you. I mean, that's the key time we find carers coming to us, to be honest with you. If we look at our research, our data, in terms of that, we have a small percentage that come prior, or while the loved ones going through the cancer, but we do find a large number of carers tap in after, unfortunately somebody's passed away, because they feel that there's nothing there for them, as you're pointing out, because there are a number of available other charities or NHS for if you have cancer, but they won't necessarily look after those that are carers. So that was a key message when the Olive Tree was set up, was we look after carers no matter what. They're just as important, as we've been discussing. And I can talk from my own experience. I've had to tap into stuff after losing my sister, and prior to that, it's okay. What does she need? Where is she going? What appointment is she going? Have we had any feedback from consultants? You sit there, you worry, etc. So, it's vastly important to remember that carers have their own journey, but it's no less important.
So, if I was sitting at home now and I'm worried about looking after myself, I've maybe just had a diagnosis, or I'm looking after somebody, and I see your services out there, what does it actually look like for me? How do I make first contact, and how do I get involved with the Olive Tree, and what would it look like if I got involved with you?
So, a couple of ways to make contact. Of course, you can just walk through the door. We've got the Crawley office, which is in Wentworth House, which is next to Crawley Hospital on the right-hand side as you look at the entrance, or the Horsham one, as I said, which is in Lavinia House behind Drill Hall. So walk in during our opening hours. You can call us on the phone numbers that we have on our website, or you can email us. So by all means, drop an email. Then what happens on the process is you'll be invited in for half an hour, so what we call a boarding session, where we'll have this one-to-one with myself or the Crawley manager, Terry Stevens, and then we'll listen to you. We'll onboard you, we'll guide you with what we feel we can offer you, and how that sounds. If you're somebody suffering with cancer, as we're non-medical, as we touched on, at that point, there's a medical consent form that goes off to the consultant that they're under, because we have a lot of services that are with touch, etc. So we have to get permission. So if you're someone with cancer, we then have to wait for that form to come back. For anything to do with touch, they just have to wait. But if it's like a counselling, or one of our other sessions that doesn't have a touch philosophy behind it, then you can start those straight away. If you're a carer, it's slightly different. You don't need to wait for this consent form, because obviously we don't need it. We do ask you to complete a self sort of medical form, a tick box thing, but they can tap in straight away. So so it's slightly different, and that's because we're a non-medical charity. So we do have to be careful when we're offering our services that we get it right for you. So the consultant must come back and tick what we can and can't offer.
That sounds fantastic. Really, really good. It's amazing the services that you offer. I'm just overwhelmed by it. You know, Tara, have you got any other questions that you wanted to ask Mark today?
I was just thinking that actually for people that's really reassuring, isn't it? To know that there's so much that goes on behind the scenes to make their journey smooth and safe. And that's often the stuff that sometimes people are thinking about before they kind of self-refer. But I also like the fact that, and I would encourage any carers out there who are thinking about it, get in there and start that process, because actually it almost might be more validating, you know, to get in there and get yourself established, because I think that would probably help with some of that guilt as well.
100%. Can't agree any more with that, Tara.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, our doors are open. You know, do get in touch. Any of those that are on those journeys that need support, we're here for you. Please reach out, and let's see what we can do and help you on your journeys that you're on.
And you've got an amazing group of volunteers.
Yeah,
as well
I was going to say, do you need, because if anyone's interested in helping you out, is that useful?
We never say no to volunteers. We've got a fantastic army of volunteers, and as you know, you can't live without them as charities. Yeah. But obviously, we've got two different sets. We've got those that just generally help out on our front desk reception area, or bucket collections, fundraisers, and then we've got our wonderful therapists and counsellors who are all professionals that just give up their certain time in their week for us. So we're always after volunteers, whether it's a therapist, counsellor, whether it's just helping out the front desk or fundraisers. Just get in touch, and we'd be more than welcome to open our arms and bring you into the Olive Tree community.
So if people want to find out more about you, where can they go?
So our website is www.olivetreecancersupport.org.uk, or you can drop an email to myself or Terry Stevens, who's the Crawley Centre Manager, and our emails are either mark@ or terry@olivetreecancersupport.org.uk. So
we'll put that in the description for the podcast in the links below. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us, Mark, that we didn't ask you today?
Well, it was just about the last bit there where we do shouts. One thing that we are doing as a charity, because we are expanding, unfortunately our numbers are increasingly quite considerably over the past months that I've been here, put it that way. We are after some ambassadors and patrons. It's a key thing for us. So if anyone listening to this, or anyone knows anybody that's got a good ambassador that has a large followings that they can help and share, or patron,
I'm on it.
You're on it. Please be on it. I know you know Bear Grylls, so we'll have Bear, please.
I've got a couple of people I know I can.
But it's just highlighting that we need that help from behind the scenes as well, with patrons and ambassadors, to push what we do out into the communities, because we don't want to be the best kept secret. And in some ways we still feel we are. We still feel that we can give a lot more to the communities. So, we just want more people on board, ambassadors, patrons, and it's not asking a lot. It's just sharing some social media, turning up to an event here or there. We're not a large charity like a few we can mention where they demand their patrons come on to certain events and times. It's not like that for us. We're a smaller charity, and right now we just need that help from some ambassadors and patrons just to push us a little bit more into the communities and outreaching as well. So that's a really key thing.
That's what's appealing, I think, because your values are what they are. So I think that's actually really appealing. I was going to say as well, the reason that we started this podcast up, little last point, is because we want to connect people. And Shirley and I go to so many events where people don't really know who are you, but who can, is also if there's any other community leaders, anybody who can give you guys support. Book a cup of tea with Mark. You do nice bickies and tea, and just start a conversation with you about how they can perhaps get you out there a bit more. It's so simple. Quick thought,
I remember when I started here, you guys were one of the first ones I connected with, and just from the initial chat, now we see each other at events here and there, and we have some nice selfies together and everything.
And it is as simple as that, isn't it? So we've got wonderful people. Local elections have been, there's people who can do stuff. You're listening to this, drop them an email, have a cup of tea and start a conversation.
Bless you. Thank you.
Mark, it's been so wonderful chatting to you today and finding out more about the amazing work that you do at the Olive Tree. I mean, I've experienced it myself. We've been in there. We've experienced the energy there and the wonderful people there. And it's such an incredible resource. And I think we should be incredibly grateful as a community that we've got something like that on our doorstep. And so I hope you get loads of support from people, and yet anyone listening that can support, either being an ambassador or knowing someone or anything like that, it's just such a valuable charity, and we're really grateful for your time, because I know how busy you are as well. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Most welcome. Thank you for having me on, and good luck with the podcast. It's I'll be following it. It's amazing. So good luck with everything.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you
you.
everybody for listening. We look forward to catching up with you and having some more conversations soon. In the meantime, do take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.